If you have a B2B business and you're trying to book sales calls with cold email, then you need to listen up. In 2026, currently, the cold email market is so oversaturated with plain text emails that have been over-personalized with AI, and just all the databases getting absolutely hammered with pitches every single day. It is so difficult to stand out, and the system that I'm going to show you today is exactly what you're going to use in order to be different and actually start booking sales calls from your cold emails. The reality of the market is that plain text cold email is dying. The channel itself, cold email, is not dying. It's just the way that almost everyone is using it is actively getting worse. Cold email reply rates are currently collapsing. In 2019, these are all based, by the way, on reports from Tuko AI, Woodpecker, and Instantly. So these are actual email reports either from sending platforms or from cold email businesses that have access to real market data. In 2019, average reply rates were at 8.5%. Then 5 years later, in 2024, they were already down to 5.1%. And now in 2026, they're at 3.43%, and they're actively on a downtrend. So we've more than halved the average reply rate to emails in the last 7 years, which is showing that people are becoming, it's a more saturated market. People are becoming less and less likely to respond to emails, which means that if that becomes a natural response to emails, that people just don't open them and don't respond, then it's going to become really difficult to start booking calls from cold email. The second reality is that inboxes are getting harder to reach. Google, Yahoo, Microsoft, they all now reject bulk email that doesn't meet their new sending requirements. So since February 2024 and May 2025, all three of these platforms have new spam filters and spam complaint rules that if you don't simply follow these rules, then it's literally going to get rejected. Your email won't be even delivered, not even to spam. It's just literally going to get rejected and not delivered. So in that case, it's also becoming more difficult. And because of this, you can see how many people are sending generic mass cold emails if these companies are starting to sort of focus on limiting the amount of cold emails that people send and the amount of just generic stuff that gets sent out. Clearly, this is becoming an issue and it's becoming a large market. Otherwise, these companies here wouldn't be investing time, effort, and money to be able to filter out these emails. And the reality is that AI has made generic outreach pretty much free to send. In order to customize an email previously, like 5 years ago, you'd have to do a lot of enrichment work and it was very difficult to find information on these leads. But nowadays with Claude Code, with Codex, and all sorts of different AI tools, it is so easy to find personalization data, which makes it so easy to just have these overly personalized emails that all read exactly the same. I'm sure you've gotten an email similar to this before. It says quick question in the subject line and then your first name. It says hi, first name, saw that whatever company name has been growing fast in the industry. Congrats on that. We can book you 30 to 50 meetings a month through. Insert whatever fancy new service you want to think of. Have 15 minutes to chat this week. So they pull all these sort of variables, personalization variables, and then they pitch the exact same generic offer as everyone else that's in your inbox. And buyers are starting to spot it and not respond. So a Prospeo report recently did through a survey of 217 decision makers at companies, and 71% of them said they completely ignore cold emails that don't feel relevant to their business specifically. And I can promise you that if you got an email looking like this, that it would not be relevant to you and you probably would not respond. And ignoring all of these rules, and especially sending rules nowadays, after they implemented that 2024 rule for new spam compliance, most people saw emails land in the inbox 30 to 50% less. So it was a direct hit from non-compliance, not just from bad copy or bad emails. But the thing that everyone is missing is that the average is dying. So the middle class of cold email is actively getting worse, but the top 10% of senders are still pulling over 10% reply rates. So reply rates have fallen from 8.5% in 2019 to 3.43 on average today, but the elite teams are still clearing 10 plus reply rates for super high intent campaigns, which means that the channel definitely is not dying. It's just that everyone in the middle, the mediocre senders, are struggling to get results, which means that you need to think and operate like the top 10% in order for you to succeed at cold email, which means that the gap has never been wider. The average sender is booking at 3.43%, while the top 10% are getting reply rates of over 10% in some of these reports. Obviously, that is quite an extreme example, but there is a huge delta between these two, between the top 10% and the average sender, which shows you that the average sender is what is creating all of this saturation and creating this narrative that cold email is dying. What separates them, the average sender, from the 10% is being genuine, trustworthy, and relevant all at once. And you can do this by being a real human face in an inbox full of noise. Cold email is a trust problem. It's not a channel problem. You're reaching total strangers, which by default means there's two things working against you. One is they don't know you, and two, they don't trust what you're selling yet. So how do you build trust at scale? You simply send a short video of yourself talking with the lead's own website playing behind you. So it's a custom, personal video and it builds trust fast. You immediately have a face, a voice, and you're clearly a real person and not just some personalization template, which is what would look like this in the inbox. If you got an email like this with my face on it and your website, then you would click much more likely in comparison to if this was just a text email. Now, recording each one of these by hand works. So that's the normal Loom strategy where you record Loom videos, but it just doesn't hold up at scale. And especially in this market, you need to be sending high volume cold email. So a custom Loom video takes real time for you to actually make it. And if you multiply that by thousands of leads per month, even hundreds of thousands of leads per month, then the math is going to fall apart very fast. The solution is you record once and then you personalize them automatically. So you take one 90-second video that you've recorded and then you stitch them with a personalized backdrop of each lead's website automatically. That means you can send up to 1 million cold emails a month with a real human face in every single one of them by just recording one single 90-second clip. So how does that actually work? The way you do it is you use server rendering. And the way that we've implemented this is there's one recording and a different backdrop for every lead. So there's the raw footage, and then we take a screenshot of the lead's website. We then have a custom server that merges these two together to then create a personalized video where you're talking over the lead website, which makes it a lot more personalized and surprisingly effective for making the video feel more personal and a little bit more in touch. So everything runs on our own render server. You essentially sit down for 6 seconds and then everything after that is automated. So you take the 6-second recording and then we have a rendering server where we then merge those together. And then the finished video is rendered and hosted on a landing page and then dropped into the email. Now, we've decided to do this basically on our own system, a custom bootstrap system, but this is no difference to the service that Sender offers or Pitchlane or other services that also create these dynamic videos. But obviously you are paying a premium for these credits here, which at scale sending will add up very, very quickly, which is why we've decided to do this essentially on our own. Now, what actually lands in their inbox, you'll have some basically text here in the email. It'll still be personalized, but it's going to be contextual. So for example, if I was reaching out to an accounting business and I wanted to get them accounting leads through cold email, then I would say, hey Alex, we could help you get in touch with businesses needing accounting services like Larchman Accounting Group. So this is an actual case study that they had. Recorded a quick video to show you how, and then I would have the video right here in the email. And the reality of all of this is that the channel email is really not dying. It's just the middle part. Everyone that's trying to get in, the beginners, the people that are just sort of getting their feet wet in cold email, they are simply not adapting to the new environment. The new environment is that leads are becoming cheaper, sending infrastructure is becoming easier to set up or cheaper with Azure inboxes. And that is just overall lowering the barrier to entry, which means there's more and more people that are sending cold emails, which means it is an awful good time to put as much effort in as possible to differentiate yourself and differentiate your cold emails from others so that you actually stand out in the inbox. Now, if you want me to implement the system for you on a pure performance basis, so you only pay per call, then you can click the link in the description and there'll be a quick video there we can watch where I run through the full process that I follow in order to do this at scale for B2B companies. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video and talk soon.